Happy Easter, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of the award-nominated Because I Have a Live Mic here on Fluent Radio. What is good, everybody? I hope everyone had a good Easter. I hope it was fun and prosperous Resurrection Sunday. And for those who partake in it, happy 420. That had to be the funniest time. Everybody was so upset when it was on Trans Visibility Day last year, but this year when it's on 420, no one bats an eye. Probably because everybody was too busy batting eyes because for some other reason. But we have a great show for you lined up today. We're going to talk about NBA playoffs and why and who I think will win it. Why the Bulls will be forever stuck in mediocrity if they continue to go the route that they are going. And is age finally catching up with LeBron James. We're also going to talk about some NFL trade rumors going down for the draft and why you shouldn't take any trade rumors this close to the draft seriously. We also going to talk about not Nico Harrison, the other Nico who messed up his bag severely. But we're also going to talk about, we're going to start with the NBA. And let me preference this by saying, shout out to the Bulls for what they were able to accomplish the last few months of the season, right? They made Chicago basketball very, very watchable, right? And they have a great young core. The Bulls front office is the complete and utter definition of insanity. Repeating the same actions and expecting a different result. Once again, you are bounced out of the play-in tournament. This time, once again, by the Miami Heat for the third year in a row. And AK is continuing to push this idea that we are just almost there. You guys have been in the play-in 3 years. You guys lost 60 games 1 year. You all need to turn this thing around. And here's the kicker. You have a great young core. You have a phenomenal young core. You have everything you need to change this thing around. But you all will not, because for some reason, doesn't matter who is in the Bulls front office. It does not matter who is in the Bulls front office. For some reason, they are content with being mediocrity. They are. They are content in being mid. And the scary part is they are good. They have a great young core. Josh Giddey has proven that he was not the problem in Oklahoma City, right? It came down between him and SGA. They chose SGA and it worked out, right? The Thunder are the best team in the league right now, and the Bulls are where they are, right? But Josh Giddey, the last few months of the season came alive, looked great, looked phenomenal. Kobe White is the truth, right? Like, he is the truth. A lot of questions. Kobe White should have been traded. Should Kobe White get traded? Should they break this team apart? Everything they had to question about it, Kobe White answered it in full. The Bulls have to, and I mean this with full sincerity, have to figure out what they are going to do going forward. The Bulls are perpetually stuck in that 9, 10, 8 seed place. Forever stuck in it. And for some reason, they do not want to change. They have to do something. And especially this year where you have superstars who are going to want to look for a change of scenery. And you are Chicago. You are the second biggest market in the United States. You have a team that is ready to be a deep playoff run if you want it to be. If you want to go that route. That's not the route I would take. I would take the route that Detroit did. Right? They were not great for a lot of years. And look where they are now. They have a great young team, an emerging superstar in Cunningham. Ivy's going to come back. This team is built to win right now. They may not do it, but look at what they have done in the past few years. From going from a 26-game losing streak to now being in the playoffs. Snapping a 15-game playoff losing streak. They have a potential to make it to, at the very least, the second round of the NBA playoff. And why? Because they knew they had to rebuild. The Bulls are so stubborn and don't want to rebuild because for some reason they don't want to do that. It took them forever to trade Levine and DeRozan. It took them forever to figure out what they were going to do with Lonzo. They still are playing patty cake with Vooch. They don't know if they want to trade him. They want to trade him. They want to keep him. They wasted $90 million on Patrick Williams, who was dangerously close to being a bust. He is dangerously close to being a bust. But you have potential. You have a lot of good young core players. Buthez, he has come alive. He looks great. He needs to get in the weight room, but other than that, he looks great. You got 3 young core players right there who are ready, willing, and able to take this team to the next level. But because you guys are so good at being mediocre, you're too good to get a draft lottery pick, but not good enough to make a deep playoff run. The Bulls desperately need to either break this thing down and deal with the pieces that they have coming, or figure out how they want to make a quick run. They have to figure it out. I've said this before. They needed to break this team down into parts. I love Kobe White, but if this team wants to make a run, I would think about trading him. Vooch has been on the trading block for years with me. He's been on the trading block. Trade him away. I'm good with that. But if this team wants to get out of the mediocrity that has been stuck in for damn near 10 years, they have to do something. They have to make a move that shows them they are serious. But I don't think they will. I think they continue to think they have these weird blinders on. AK has these weird blinders on and saying that we're just there. We just got to get past the play-in. Even if you were to get past the play-in this year, you had to go against Boston or Cleveland, and you are not on their level yet. You are not even close to any one of those 2 teams' level. Hell, you're barely close to Detroit. Right? If you look at the Central Division in the NBA, every team made the playoffs. Every team in the NBA playoffs right now, the Bucks, the Pacers, Cleveland Cavaliers are all in the playoffs. All of them are in the playoffs. The Bulls got to the play-in tournament, cool. But if you look, this Central Division is slowly becoming one of the better divisions in the NBA. Even in a weak Eastern Conference, you still look and see that every team in your division made it to the playoffs. You have to do something. And if that's meaning being bad for a few years, but you're able to get young core players, good role players, emerging stars, you have to do something and do something soon. But if you're continually willing to be fine with being stuck in this mediocrity that you are all in, you won't go anywhere. You're going to continue to just be good enough to make the play-in tournament, but not good enough to make the playoffs, which screws up your draft picks, which screws up everything for you. You're going to wait until it's too late to trade away players that you should have traded away at their peak. You can trade away, again, it would suck, but you could trade away Kobe White and get a few first-round draft picks for him. If you want to keep Giddey, fine. You got to do something because both of them are going to be looking for, at the very least, a $30 million a year paycheck. If you can figure out how to get both of them on a team-friendly contract, great. But you have to figure out how to do something to keep, at the very least, one of those players and build around them. It should be Kobe because he's been there for the longest. It should be him. He's, again, should have been the most improved player. Should have been 6th man of the year. He's arguably the star that you need to attract other stars there. But if you're not going to do that, you have to trade him. You have to trade him before the draft. You have to trade him before free agency or anything like that. You have to be able to get him on a roster and get a lot of picks for him. If you're going to build around Giddey and Buthez, cool. You're going to build around White and Buthez, cool. But you have to figure out something to get yourself out of the mediocrity that the Bulls have been in for years. Because if not, you're going to continue to repeat the same cycles over and over again. And again, that is the true definition of insanity. You can keep striking that tree all you want, but it don't matter if the axe is rusty or not. You can keep striking that tree all you want. It ain't never gonna fall until you finally figure out I might need to go get a chainsaw. Okay, well, after my whole Bulls rant, we can get into some playoff talk. We got the playoffs going on right now, and I know I didn't get to talk about it last week because I was doing the wrestling show. Shout out to the Hill House Podcast and Kurt for being on the show last week. But we did have some playoff talk to go on, and obviously we got the whole playoff scene going on right now, and there's games being going on and whatnot. But two things. One, I realized I did not watch enough basketball during the regular season to know a lot of these players, because when the Golden State Warriors were playing, it was a bunch of dudes out there that I could swore to you. They just went up to the stands and said, hey, put this jersey on. We need some bodies. Because it was a lot of people. I'm just like, I mean, I know you. You are a question. But other than that, yeah. But the playoffs have been going on, and it's been going great. We had a great game the other day between Denver and Clippers. And I'll tell you this, the Denver and Clipper matchup is probably the most interesting matchup for two reasons. One, it's between two teams that I have no faith in the playoffs right now. And two, it could be Jokic's last time in a Denver uniform, because with everything going on from the firing of Mike Malone to the debacle of how that went down. By the way, I don't know what it is with coaches. I mean, GMs and coaches firing them right before the playoffs start. Like, that always seemed backwards to me. Like, why would you want to throw off team chemistry like that? Especially if I hire someone like Mike Malone, who literally just won you a title not too long ago, right? It's not like he was some, just dude who just passed through. Like, he won you a title literally not too long ago. But it is what it is. No, but I think this will be probably Jokic's last time in a Denver uniform, just because I think he's done, right? Like, I do think he's done. I think the firing of Mike Malone kind of had a lot of an impact on him, just in the fact that they fired a coach that he liked. He never showed it, but he liked him, right? And I don't want to say they want to dismantle the Denver and kind of start over, but once you bring in a new coach, probably bring in a new GM as well, you want to build your team around the guys that you want. And I think this time for this Denver team to kind of be, broken apart in parts as well. Obviously Jokic is one of the best players in the NBA right now. You have Jamal Murray, Jamal Murray is such a question mark, because some days he looks like the Jamal Murray of old, and then some days he looks like he doesn't care, right? Like, he looked like he's back playing Olympic style basketball. And this Denver team is so, misconstrued and thrown together, but they've been playing great basketball, right? Jokic has been still doing Jokic things, but the problem is those Jokic shots, because again, if you look in that LA game, they weren't hitting like they used to. They were not hitting like they used to. And I do think that Jokic will probably I don't think he'll step away from basketball, but I definitely think he wants to go to another place where he can kind of feel that revitalization, right? Let's just look at what a trade did for Jimmy, right? He's playing basketball at a high level. He's loving basketball again. And I just think a trade for Jokic could recruit them a bunch of picks, some players, so you can start this team over again. And I just think it's time. I think it's time. He won the title. He's been to the Western Conference Finals multiple times. He's an MVP. He's all of those things. And I just think it's time for him to move on from Denver and just go to a different team. Which team that would be, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure everybody will throw their hat in the ring for Jokic, so that's not an issue. But as far as the Clippers go, I don't trust the Clippers anyway, right? Like, I'm sure they'll get out the first round, but anything other than that, I don't know. They'll get out the first round and they'll have the James Harden revenge game against OKC. But if you're talking to me about who do I trust more, I trust OKC way more than I do James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, and the LA Clippers. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. because you're going to get a playoff game from James Harden where he disappears. You're going to get one. Death taxes James Harden disappearance in the playoff. It is what it is. James Harden is that guy. He cannot step up in the big moments. From the moment in the Rockets where he missed like 48 threes, him going cold in Philly when the Game 7 was on the line for them. James Harden is not built for the big moments, right? You tried to tell us that he's a star in the making when he left OKC, when he went to the Rockets, and he won the MVP and scored, was averaging about 30 points a game there. But when he needed him the most, just like the Avatar, he vanished. And at this point, why are you still trying to force feed me this idea that James Harden is still that guy? He's not. Kawhi Leonard, depending on his health, could be a big question mark if he's there or not. And if those two guys are gone, there's nobody there that can step up for the Clippers. Zubats has been amazing this year. Zubats has definitely gone off. Shouldn't win for most improved player. Norman Powell, he's good, but I don't trust him like that. The Clippers are just the team you cannot trust in those big moments. That is it. And if it comes down to it, I'm sorry. I don't trust the Clippers. I think they'll get out the first round, and I think they'll probably get smoked in about 4. I don't think it'll be a sweep. They'll probably get smoked in about 5-6 games by OKC. So I just can't trust the Clippers at this point. And then I will say this: LeBron is starting to look every bit of 40. Like he is starting to look every bit of 40 in these last few games. He's looking slow. He's not looking like the LeBron James we know. Now again, before everybody loves to throw out the LeBron James has finally been washed. If your definition of wash is averaging 24, 8, and 8, I'll take that. Because there are players right now who ain't averaging that. And they're still in their prime. So if a washed LeBron James is still better than most of the players in their prime. But other than that, he is looking terrible. He is not looking like the LeBron James we would have expected. And age is probably finally catching up to him. You got to remember, LeBron James has been in the playoffs almost since he was in the league. There again, he's been at the very least in the playoffs, in the finals, almost his entire career. That's an extra set of games that most people don't get to see. He is looking old, but again, that old is still coming with a lot of stuff. I still think they can get to the Western Conference Finals. I still have faith that they'll probably end up meeting OKC in the Western Conference Finals. But he needs to find a happy needle shot, get some Tiger Balm, drink some green tea or something to kind of get back to LeBron James that we know in the playoffs. Because if this LeBron James continues to show up, the physicality won't catch him off guard for too much longer. Like JJ Redick tried to, hide off that bad playoff game that they had against Minnesota. The physicality caught us off guard. No, it wasn't just the physicality. LeBron was old. Like Luka dropped almost 40 in his Laker playoff debut. But if LeBron James can't at the very least average what he was averaging when he's, if he's averaging right now, like he only played one game, so average, we'll throw it out. But he only did 10 points. That's the lowest we've ever seen of LeBron James in a playoff since like 2011 when he was in the finals, when he only scored 8 points. LeBron James just needs to step up because there is no excuse right now. You got Luka, you got Dalton Connect, you got AR. Defensively, yeah, y'all need to do some work. But other than that, Lakers team, if they want to make a run, LeBron has to step up. And the best part about it is it's not even as if he has to step up and do a lot because he has Luka there. So scoring wise, you're good. As far as like mental on the court, that veteran presence that's been there before to kind of drag a team to the finals, that LeBron needs to show up against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Because If they get past the Minnesota Timberwolves, they got to go to Golden State. And I don't. If this LeBron shows up in the Golden State series, Golden State wins it in 5. You can say LeBron James, King James, you know, James Ball win, Hard win, all of that. It will be Warriors in 5 if this LeBron James keeps showing up. So they need to figure it out and figure it out fast. And as far as like the Golden State Warriors go, they are going to get, not discrediting Houston, because again, Houston is a great young team. The problem with that is they are a young team. Ime Udoka, he's coached the team into the finals before. And ironically enough, the first matchup is the guys who beat him in that finals. But this is a young team. Those lights are bright. And when you have young teams with bright lights like that, it is hard for them to continue to play at a high level, especially when you have guys who've been there before. This is not just any other team. This is the Golden State Warriors. This is the modern day dynasty. They have 2 defensive stoppers in Draymond Green and Jimmy Butler. They have an unyielding scorer in Steph Curry. The bench is not bad either. We got to put signs on some of the players that I forgot their names to. But other than that, they have a team that is built to win right now. They have a chance to get to the Western Conference Finals. And if it comes down between Golden State and OKC, I trust Golden State way more than I do OKC. Like, don't get me wrong, Shea is arguably the MVP candidate, right? Like, he captured the scoring title, averaging 33 points. But if it comes down to it, defensively, yes, OKC is crazy good at defense, right? Top 5 in defense. But it's something about those ending moments that Steph Curry just goes to another level. And I if it comes down to it, I can see Golden State getting out of the Western Conference Finals. I can see it. Golden State has a rough path to go there, but they are my favorites to get out of the West. They are. And if they can at the very least get to the Western Conference Finals, I'm sorry, this locks it up. We have to change it from the LeBron James era to the Steph Curry era. Because yes, LeBron is the face of the league. Yes, anytime the league needs him to do something, it's LeBron James first. But at the end of the day, on the court, if Steph Curry can get to the finals, not win it, if he can get to this year's finals, going through the path that they have to go through to get to the finals, this is the Steph Curry era. As much as a LeBron fan as I am, if they can get to the finals, Steph Curry era. If he wins it, even better. Excuse me. If he wins it, that's 5. He's going to be up there with Magic Johnson. He's going to be up there. This would solidify Steph as not just the first ballot Hall of Famer, because he was already that. This solidifies him as arguably the GOAT of this era, to go through a young Rockets team, a LeBron, Luka Doncic Lakers, a upstart team in OKC with a great young player in Shea, a great defensive mindset team, and to then probably have a rematch with Boston in the finals. This would be the Steph Curry era without a shadow of a doubt. This would solidify this as the Steph Curry era in the NBA. A few days out from the draft, and let me tell you this: anytime you hear anything about trade rumors, especially from anyone in the top 3, just ignore them. They're seeing what they can get. And short of them getting like a crazy package deal like the Bears did a few years ago, they're not trading those 2 picks. They're not. The Browns and the Giants are trading those picks. They would have to get something immensely crazy, like at least 2 first-round picks this year and next year, a player, and a slew of other draft picks. No one's giving up that right now. No one's giving up that. The teams at the bottom desperately need a quarterback. This is a weak quarterback draft. You may see somebody try and trade up maybe into the top 10 to get one of these players, but no one's going to trade up to get 2 or 3. It's no point. That's why they're not even trying to trade for one. They know they're going to get Cam Ward, the Titans. But this is why you don't pay attention to those. Because if anything, they will just go with what they're going to do. Because the Browns, they need a quarterback, right? They have Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and Deshaun Watson on their roster right now. Yes, Joe Flacco got them to a playoffs a few years ago. Kenny Pickett, Super Bowl champion Kenny Pickett, Super Bowl champion Kenny Pickett, and, Deshaun Watson. But they need a quarterback, and I highly doubt they go quarterback. I do think they'll ride this out with Joe Flacco, and either two things will happen. Either they'll be so bad that they end up getting the number one pick and get Arch Manning next year, or they go later in the draft, get a quarterback, and see where it goes with it, right? Because, again, Joe Flacco is there, so he's capable enough to get them to, at the very least, enough wins, but at the very least, they're not trading out of two. They'll go with Travis Hunter. And the Giants are stuck in this perpetual system anyway. The Giants aren't going to trade out of three. They're hopefully they won't pick a quarterback. Hopefully they go maybe Abdul Carter. Maybe they'll go, if Travis Hunter is there, maybe they'll go Austin Genty. Maybe they'll go that route because I don't think they need a quarterback right now. Yes, they only have J-Mo and Russ on there, but the GM's going to be gone. The coach is going to be gone. They don't want to put themselves in a situation where they draft a young quarterback. The coach is gone halfway through the season. The GM is gone next year. And then you have a new guy in there who wants to set up his system. And yeah, they'll have a good quarterback there, but we have seen this story before. Again, as a Bears fan, I have seen this story before. It normally does not work out well. It normally does not work out well at all. So if I am the Giants, I'd just go get Abdul Carter. Get him together with Brian Burns. There you go. That's your defense right there. But any trade rumors you hear right now, they're a smokescreen. Unless someone throws up something immaculately crazy, it's a smokescreen. Don't believe the hype. Just don't. Do not believe the hype. Someone's hype who probably has fallen a little, which is so weird, right? Because I feel a lot of this has to do with the fact that he is Deion's son, and he's been getting bad press for a while now for some reason. But Shador's hype has kind of fallen off to the point where Jackson Dart is randomly pushed up into the top 10, right? Like Jackson Dart is now going to be at the draft where he wasn't even going to be there. Like coming into the college year this year, he was at best a second round pick, at worst a fourth, fifth round pick. Now Jackson Dart has kind of shot up there. And especially for Shador, it's hard for him because if the Giants don't go quarterback at 3, right? If they don't go quarterback at 3, he could potentially fall. New England has a quarterback. Jacksonville has a quarterback. Raiders have a quarterback in Geno Smith, but they could go quarterback at 6, but I don't know if they will do that. Carolina has their quarterback. At 9, it's where if he doesn't get picked up at 9 by the New Orleans Saints, which I do think he'll end up getting picked up by that point, it could be for free-for-all for him. It could be a free-fall. Because Chicago finally has a quarterback. San Francisco is interesting because they could do that to reset the market to not be able to pay Brock Purdy. They could do that. I don't see them resetting the market. I see them paying Brock Purdy and going through the motions with him. But Dallas has a quarterback. Miami, the Colts. It's hard. It's a toss-up because I don't think they'll bring in a third quarterback into that situation because, again, this is a make-or-break year for Anthony Richardson. They have Daniel Jones there. They have a mini quarterback battle there. Therefore, I'm not seeing them go quarterback, but it could be a free-fall for him. And Pittsburgh is there at 21. And the whole thing with Aaron Rodgers debacle, with him saying that he wants to go there, he doesn't want to go there. He's still waiting on the phone call, and everything happened with Aaron Rodgers. I don't think Shador drops that low, but if he does, Pittsburgh will probably pick him up. I think it's a bad fit for him going into a locker room that is currently in a little bit of chaos. but it could be a free fall for him. But I think he'll go at 9 to New Orleans. He'll fall because I don't think the Giants, like I said, the Giants won't pick up a quarterback they won't pick up a quarterback there. And he'll end up free falling to New Orleans, which is the best place for him to grow. Right? Like again, New Orleans, we know they're not anywhere near close to being a title contender right now. They don't have any money to really get anybody. They re-signed, Chase Young. Okay. So after this year, they'll have some money freed up so they can actually go out and get better players. But I think he's a perfect fit for them because, again, he's in an organization that has trust in their players. Like the organization trusts the players and the players trust the organization. They got, Kellen Moore there. We've seen what he's done with not Jalen Milroe. We've seen what he has done with Jalen Hurts. So New Orleans is probably the best fit for him. So, and speaking of Jalen Milroe, since I brought his name up, because I had him on my mind because I was thinking about that, he has the potential to be the breakout quarterback of this class, right? And there's a lot of opinions on Jalen Milroe, right? Like he's not the prototypical quarterback, which I'll be honest with you right now, he is the prototypical quarterback, right? We have been saying this for years. And now it's finally coming to fruition a little bit. The running athletic quarterback that can throw deep and run past you is the prototype of quarterback that people are looking for now. They are not looking for a pass, a statue at a quarterback. I think that's affecting Shedeur a little bit because he's not known to be a runner. But if you just look at the past few draft classes with quarterbacks, from Lamar Jackson to Jaden Daniels, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes to a degree, Caleb Williams, Justin Fields, these guys have the capability of not only extending plays, but gaining yards with their legs. This is now the prototypical quarterback. If you cannot, at the very least, get a first down by yourself with your legs when the play breaks down, they don't want you. Jalen Hurts is a perfect example of that. Everybody trashed him. Everybody said he's not going to be a great quarterback. Put up great numbers a few years ago. Put up decent amount of numbers this year. They changed the offense because they had Saquon Barkley. Won a Super Bowl with his arm. Outdid that Chiefs defense twice in a Super Bowl. Jalen Milroe has the potential to be, I'll say this, and I don't care. His ceiling for me is Josh Allen. His ceiling is Josh Allen. His floor is Justin Fields to me. He has every bit of potential to be what Josh Allen is right now. If he gets drafted to a good team, if he gets drafted to a team that is very good at developing quarterbacks, he needs work, he's raw, but his talent is there. It is undeniable that Jalen Milroe is going to be a great quarterback in this league. He's everything that they are looking for right now. He is legitimately everything they are looking for in a quarterback. For years, people saying the spread offense in the league is not going to work. Teams are going to catch up to it. They still haven't. It takes a special type of person to succeed in that spread offense. A Lamar Jackson type of player, a Jaden Daniels type of player to succeed in that offense, in that spread offense. But Jalen Milroe is a little bit more thicker than they are, so he can take a little bit more hits. I don't know if he's faster than Lamar Jackson. He's not faster than Lamar Jackson. I don't even know why I said that. But he has a bigger arm than Lamar Jackson. Jalen Milroe has the potential to be Josh Allen in this league. He has every bit of potential. If he gets drafted to the correct team, he has the potential to be a breakout star. And it's not just him. There are a few people in this draft class right now that has the potential to be a breakout star. One of those is the guy I have been saying, if the Bears want a running back, wait to get him. Cam Scarborough from Arizona State. He is. Austin Gentry got a lot of the, notoriety and got a lot of it, but he has done something that Christian McCaffrey hasn't been done since Christian McCaffrey. 1,500 yards rushing, 500 yards receiving. The return of the white running back is coming. The return. And I think it's a lot to do with the fact that he is only 5'10" and like 195 pounds. So he's going to have to put on a little bit more muscle. But he is a very good running back, has the potential to be one of those game changer. He has the potential to be a gadget play type of guy. And if you get him to somebody like a Sean Payton, if you get him with Ben Johnson, we see how it works when Ben Johnson has two type of running backs, a power guy and a guy that can go catch the ball outside the backfield, line up outside the numbers, line up inside the numbers. We have seen running backs do this. This is the evolution of the running back as well. Yeah, the Saquon Barkleys. Yeah, the Derrick Henrys. Yeah, the Joe Mixons. Yeah, the Josh Jacobs. But those are slowly but surely getting faded out. Not this year, not next year, but sure enough, it will happen. And the guys that can kind of do it all are going to be the next type of running backs. And he is one of them. He has the potential to me to be a breakout a breakout player in this league if he can get to the right team. Right? I said Denver. If he can get to Tampa Bay, if he can, maybe even if he gets to Jacksonville with Liam Cohen, he has the potential to do it. He could be a breakout star. And again, he didn't get a lot of attention because of Genty, but other than that, he has the potential to do it. Another guy that has that potential to be that breakout star, Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M. Abdul Carter, again, it feels like a lot of this is Abdul Carter gets a lot of the attention, but he is one of those guys that is great. He is game-changing type of tackle speed. He has game-changing type of pressure. If he can go, I'll say this. I know a lot of people in Pittsburgh love J.J. Watt. T.J. Watt, sorry, not J.J. They love J.J. too, but T.J. No. Yeah, T.J. I don't know. Anyway, T.J. Watt. I know a lot of them love T.J. If Pittsburgh decides to trade up with Chicago or New Orleans, he could be on that option to trade. Like, I know a lot of people hate hearing that. Like, why would you trade such a great player? Pittsburgh can make linebackers out of anybody. You go to Pittsburgh, you're automatically probably going to be in a gold jacket or at least in a playoff hunt. At a linebacker position, they know how to make linebackers go. If he gets there, just imagine that. They could trade him and to move up and to probably get the quarterback that they need and go get him maybe in like the second round or something like that. But if he can get to a team that is a defensive sounded team that can work with him, yeah, I'm not seeing him be a breakout star this year. It is, especially in a class that is very heavily on rushers and running backs this year, and to a degree receivers. He could be a breakout star. And it's just not that, right? Like, they have this thing where, only those top two teams can do it. Like, only, not talking about top two teams, but only the top few players can do it, right? We've seen what Jane Daniels can do. We saw what Javon Verse could do, right? We saw what Cooper Jazine could do. So we know, like, players who are, like, not highly touted or highly drafted coming out can have an impact on teams. It all depends on the right team that they go to. Let's talk about it. At this point, Aaron Rodgers just does need to retire because Aaron Rodgers on his whole little media tour, college recruitment tour he's trying to do to get onto a team has basically become the equivalent of the girl who posts stuff on Facebook and Instagram like, won't nobody miss me when I'm not here, or the dude that talk about, I see all my friends out there living and nobody invited me. This is why. This is why. The chaos you bring, teams don't want anymore. Because your talent on the field no longer offsets the chaos that you bring. We all saw what happened in New York. We all saw the debacle that was New York. You did everything in your power to try to get the team that you wanted, and you still couldn't get into the playoff. You got Robert Saleh fired, allegedly, but he got Robert Saleh fired. He wanted Nathaniel Hackett to be the head coach. He wasn't. They traded away a bunch of picks to go get Devontae Adams. That didn't work out. You had him go sign Alan Lazar. You had him go sign. If at one point you probably wanted him to go sign Jordan Nelson. Aaron Rodgers is no longer worth the headache if his performance on the field doesn't outweigh. He wanted to go to Minnesota because that was an easier path for him to get to the Super Bowl. He doesn't want to go to Pittsburgh. He wants Pittsburgh to want him, but he doesn't want to go to Pittsburgh because it's not an easier path. He knows that he has to play the Ravens twice and Cincinnati twice. He knows that he would have to eventually run up against Patrick Mahomes. So if you're Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, right? Josh Allen, he knows he has to go against those quarterbacks. So if you're Aaron Rodgers, what is the easiest path for you to get back to a Super Bowl? Well, I shouldn't even say back. He hasn't been there in 15 years. What is the easiest way to get to a Super Bowl than to go to a team that is already loaded? You have Justin Jefferson, one of the best receivers in the NFL. Jordan Addison, one of the top 2 receivers in the league. You got Aaron Jones in the backfield. You have a defense that is legit-ish. You're in a division that you know very well. You get to play the Packers twice. But they don't want you because the headache is too much. You're sitting up here now saying he went from $100 million to $10 million now, right? He's happy to play for $10 million on any team, right? He lowballed himself. But no team wants you because you bring chaos wherever you go, and the headache is no longer worth the product is no longer worth the headache, I should say. You're not the elite quarterback that you were. You're 42 coming off an Achilles tear. You had your worst statistical year ever. You have slowly but surely turned into the thing that you didn't want to be, which is Brett Favre. At the very least, near the end, at least Brett Favre was still somewhat entertaining to watch. But now you want to complete the Favre circle and go to Minnesota. And Minnesota's just like, no, we'd rather stick with the kid we know than the kid we don't. We'd much rather see what we have in J.J. McCarthy and see if he is the guy with the team that's already built around him to perform. Why would we give ourselves the headache of an Aaron Rodgers, Because again, for a few weeks, it could be great. It could be spectacular. Everything be going great. And one day he could wake up in a bad mood and say, I want to trade this person so I can get this guy that I used to play with in college. Or I wanted to bring Alan Lazar over here. Or I want, this guy over here versus him. He likes Kevin O'Connell now, but then, week 10, he may try to get him fired because he said something that he didn't agree with. The headache is no longer worth it because of the level. Again, people will put up with stuff as long as they get something out of it. We've seen teams drag players who have been terrible off the field unless they do something crazy. We've seen players be on teams that cause massive amount of headaches. The reason why George Pickens is still in a Pittsburgh uniform is because his production on the field has still very much overperformed. So he's worth the headache. Matter of fact, he had his best statistical year with Mason Rudolph. And now you're adding a DK Metcalf to that team. Why would they want to say, okay, we'll bring in Aaron Rodgers? Because, hey, he may be great. He was supposed to do that with Garrett Wilson, and it never worked out. Aaron Rodgers has become, I don't want to say a locker room cancer, but he has become a parasite. A great player, but a parasite. And if he doesn't get his way, if he doesn't have whatever he wants, he will eventually turn the team into chaos and uproot everything. That's why I'm not mad at how the Jets handled that situation. Yeah, they could have called you, but they at the very least, gave you the courtesy of having you fly out. I paid for my own money. I did all of these things, and they flew me out just to tell me they're not bringing me back. Yeah. Of course they did. But at what point do you admit to some wrongdoing? At what point do you admit to the fact that you did kind of destroy this franchise on your way out? But he's never going to do that. His ego is so big now that it's blinded him to the fact that he is the cause a lot of this. He is the cause behind this. And I don't see any other route for him outside of being retired, outside of retirement. So he can go and do the Pat McAfee show, so he could run for president, so he can start his ashwagandha, snake oil medicine thing. But at this point, the career of Aaron Rodgers is over with. And what a way to go out from being one of the top level quarterbacks, to be up in the conversation of the GOAT conversation of quarterbacks, to fizzling out in New York. It is a shame to see it because he was a great quarterback. Again, I saw him for literally all of his career. He is a phenomenal quarterback. But for his ego to be this big and for him to fizzle out the way he did, I'm not shocked that no team is going to take that chance on him just so that way they can get bit at the end. What's the old parable? The scorpion said to the frog, "It's in my nature." That's what it is. It's in his nature to destroy any franchise that he goes to. I did want to talk about this before we start wrapping the show up. The whole Tennessee quarterback situation with the NIL deal and the money situation with not Nico Harrison, another Nico. It's a bad few months for Nikos. No, this situation is all about the money, but it's also not about the money. It's about the people who are around him. If you don't know, the quarterback Nico, I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name. Here's his name right here. Was the quarterback for Tennessee Volunteers. He had a great year, somewhat. But he was currently getting paid $2 million, and someone obviously told him that he should be worth $4 million, so he tried to get $4 million out of Tennessee, and it did not work out the way he thought it was going to work out. Now, he ended up transferring to UCLA for only 1.7 million. I know, terrible, the downgrade. But no, he played the game and he lost. And I know, and I've seen the stories already. This is what's going to happen with the NILs. The kids are no longer doing it for the love. They're doing it for the money. Of course they are. Of course they are doing it for the money. The problem I have is for literally 100 years in the NCAA, 100 years, you have had these schools take money from these kids, build schools up off the back of these kids. For the people who you told, you come to school to get this education, they come to the school and they bring in you millions of dollars of revenue. They can't even afford their own jersey with their name on it. You regulate them to the point they can't even accept a hamburger for somebody. Now that they are able to get money, which y'all slap happily through this together, because what really happened was y'all didn't want these kids to start a strike, because hey, they can. Y'all threw this together and y'all had no type of plan on what was going to happen with the NIL, and now it's gone to where it is, right? The NIL deal is basically just NFL free agency, and whoever has the most money, they can get the best players. But this was always going to be on you. You all failed to put up safeguards to make sure that the kids were properly paid and couldn't just take advantage of the system. Now that they are doing that, you all are upset for some reason. I don't know why. But this is a cautionary tale of what happens when you don't have certain people in your camp and you're letting people tell you, hey man, you worth this much more money. Because in reality, it's a failure on both parts. It's a failure on the NCAA, but it's also a failure on Nico's part because you messed up your bag for the future. You go from Tennessee to where you had a chance to get drafted at the very least high enough into like the second round, to UCLA, to the last top quarterback they have produced out of that organization was Josh Rosen. You're going to UCLA, a team that is not good. Not good at all. You messed up the bag for yourself trying to get more. And then, on the flip side of that, you messed up the bag for the NFL future, because now teams will look at that and be like, I don't know. Do I want to draft a guy where down the line, he'll be asking for way more money if he doesn't produce on the field, because you didn't produce on the field that great, right? A bad loss to Georgia and got steamrolled in the playoffs against Ohio State. And it's not like your numbers supported your claim. You only threw for like 2,900 yards and 19 touchdowns. It's not like you were putting up like Jalen Milroe level numbers or Cam Ward's or Shedeur Sanders level numbers to where you had the justification to want an increase in money. You just wanted it because you thought that, hey, I can get it, so I'm going to try as much as I possibly can. Again, I'm not mad at it. Tennessee has done that for years with kids. From Manning to Alvin Kamara to Joe Milton. So for them to try to get some more money out of the program, I don't blame you. I've said this before and I say this again. For a lot of those players on the field, this is as much as they're going to get. Some of them aren't going to go to the league. So if they can get a little bit more NIL money to set themselves up for the future, go at it. But this is not enough. This is not the reason to say we should end NIL. This is the reason why we should have safeguards up for NIL. This is the reason why we need to make sure we have competent people around people for NIL. But this is not a reason to get rid of NIL. People who are trying to sit here and take away NIL money, no. But this is a life lesson for him. Your arms were too short to box with God. You tried to reach for something that wasn't there for you. Now you got to hopefully make it up at UCLA. Good luck, kid. So before I head up out of here, I do want to talk about this because there are rumors going around about the Bears and the Bengals potentially sharing a stadium in the state of Indiana. And no, right? Like, not to get super deep into political nonsense, but this is just part of Indiana's ploy to kind of absorb some of Illinois. And getting the Bears won't fix anything. And honestly, I can believe the Bengals will do it because the Bengals are cheap and they don't want to get a new stadium if they have to pay for it. But the Bears and the Bengals sharing a stadium would not work. It works for New York because they have set it up so that way now it feels like two different types of, arenas or stadiums, right? The Jets feel different from the Giants arena or stadium. And what happens when, there got to be eight home games. So how is this going to work? What happens if, God forbid, both of them make the playoffs, right? How you going to make the field better for if the Bears play earlier in the day and the Bengals play late in the day? How is that going to work? Like, this is the silliest thing and the cheapest thing, and it's so Bengals is so hilarious. And for the Bears to even be linked to this nonsense makes it even more funnier, right? For the Bears to be linked to this it's hilarious. And I'll be 100% honest with you, this won't happen. Not in the slightest. This will not happen. I would be genuinely shocked if this happens. So, but I'm going to end the show a little bit earlier. I ran over last week, so I'm going to end it a little bit earlier this week. So shout out to y'all for listening. Shout out to Fluent Radio for putting me on again. Don't forget to vote for me for Best Internet Radio Show. The link is in the description to link and click it. Just click it, scroll down, and you'll be able to find me. Until next time, guys, I got two fingers for you. Deuces. Because I Have a Live Mic was proudly presented to you by Fluent Radio, where all things are fluent. Please like, share, and subscribe. All right, two fingers. Deuces.